are now listening to United 96 Podcast on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, United 96 and the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. Eventually, I'll get that. Eventually. One of these days, probably once we decide we're going to, then I'm going to start calling it United 96 if we ever change the name or do whatever. That's how it always works, John. John, my good friend, how are you doing today? I hope you had a restful weekend. You did not go with me. You did not go to the DC United game that I went to, which was, I understand you had some other plans, but I was hurt a little bit. I cried multiple times.
I really missed sweating, like really, really bad. Although, like it started to rain and then got cool, and there was a breeze I saw on the broadcast. So, like
it may have like sprinkled a little bit. I never felt any rain. It was looking like it was going to rain. It never rained. Like I thought we were in the presence of a. I was like watching the weather, and the weather was still saying like, 15% chance. It's not going to storm. It's just going to be cloudy, and they were right. It did not look like it was going to be that way, but the rain held off through the night. I don't think it rained at all. At least when I woke up the next morning in the Northern Virginia area, I didn't see any rain. I'm sad
we missed. I am sad we missed the rare in-person team up. The podcast hanging out in person, but yeah, another time, I'm sure.
But it was extremely warm. I'm not gonna lie. The sun did go down, which was good. I think that kind of helped things a little bit. But it was still a very, very warm, afternoon. But John, how was your weekend, man? Not initially. Actually, I did have my ticket rep come over, who actually I should probably find the name, who came and sat down and said hello to me, which was he was a good guy. I sat actually. I got a seat below because this wasn't a well attended game, and he came and found me. Very nice guy. If you don't know the story behind that, I had originally planned to go to the Nashville game, but caught COVID. Emailed him, asked him if there was any recourse I had. I was expecting a sorry, no, have a nice day. He called me back and said, just pick a game, try to get your money back, pick a game, and we'll give you tickets. Don't worry about it. So very nice offer from him. Really, really nice guy from him. I'm trying to find his name so I don't forget it, because it's been a long weekend, folks. I've tweeted about it a couple times. I think I've mentioned his name at least once on the show. So, but definitely want to give him a mention. Cool guy. Didn't get really recognized. I wasn't really near the supporter section, so I probably would have gotten recognized a little sooner. So, also was not a well attended game, not a sparsely attended game. I also arrived pretty much right at kickoff. I actually missed the first goal because I was in the line to get beer. So
that'll happen when it's 60 seconds.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to subject. I didn't want to subject my friends to like a 3-hour, scurry around DC in that heat. So we took our time getting there, and I was perfectly fine. So probably if I'd spent some more time around there, I bet I would have gotten recognized. But it was pretty much in and out. So, but John, how was your weekend? Enough about my weekend. How was your weekend?
I wasn't recognized anywhere. To be honest with you. It was kind of insulting. Anywhere I went, I had to show people my ID to have them know who I was. No, it was good. We did some celebrating around the weekend. Wasn't able to get to Audi Field. I'll be there for the rest of them. So we just missed the one that you'll be at. That's unfortunate for me. But yeah, I got to watch. I got to watch more MLS than usual. So much so that I spent 5 minutes for the first time since week 4 looking at my fantasy team. So to anyone who has faced me from week 4 to whatever week this is, you got lucky, and now it's time. I'm going to try again. It's time to try hard.
I would put some good money that I will probably be making one more return to Audi Field. I'm not sure when. I don't know if it'll include my wife or just me, but I think I still have some money that I bought one of those like flex plans account, which I actually love, and I think I still have like a little bit of money left over on it. So I think I can like buy like one more ticket and like just get like a small kind of discount on it. I'll have to check the account. I'm not sure, but I'll probably make it. There probably will be one more game in my future.
I skipped so many games that I had enough credits to buy a sweet ticket for myself. Nice. So for the last game of the season, FC Cincinnati, I will be sitting with the moneyed, not the hoi polloi, not the people who might recognize me. Everyone else, I'll be dining with them. I'll be having all you can eat chicken fingers, or whatever they give you up there. I forget. Anyway, enough about
let's talk games.
The things around the stadium. Let's talk about soccer. Let's talk about the game that we witnessed on Saturday.
Do we have to, John, or can we just skip the game, say they lost?
I think there's stuff to talk about here. I think it's a pretty noteworthy game.
Yeah,
and then we'll talk about all the incoming player rumors that are going on. It is. If you remember the days when Wayne Rooney was playing here, the Google alerts are hopping. There's going to be a DC United story every week, and they're all 90% of them are going to be baloney, but at least there are things happening, so we have stuff to tweet about and talk about.
Yeah, so let's we'll get to the news. We'll get to the news and rumors, which they're still flying fast and furious. I believe just last night there was a brand new rumor for a brand new player none of us had ever heard of that just dropped. But let's talk about the game. Let's start with DC United Montreal. Not Montreal Impact, CF Montreal.
It's the RFK Refugees version of CF Montreal in 1908 or whatever the hell their name is.
Changing their incredibly poorly designed logo. When will MLS teams learn? Let's start with the game. DC United coming off obviously the lineup. Let's start with the lineup. So I saw the lineup and I said, okay, well, we're going young. Like, this is as clear as any indication. I mean, the first big thing was the fact that no Michael Estrada, no Nigel Robertha, both players that were not even in the 18. I think that probably confirms more than anything that this is the end. This could be very well the end of the line for them. I think Michael Estrada is easy. You just say loan's done. Just go back. We're done here. Go back to I think it was Pachuca, wasn't it? I forget which team Liga MX team. I'm trying to remember which Liga MX team he was a part of.
A team that was very excited to have him gone.
Fans that were very excited to have him gone. But the Bertha one's a little more complicated. I'm not sure what the plan is here. You could, loan him down to Loudoun to free up that international slot. DC's been basically using Loudoun as a shell game for international slots pretty much past couple seasons. But I think this is as clear as any indication. And with the rumors we're hearing about the international players coming in, that this would be the end of the line for them. Am I jumping too far ahead, John, or do you read those tea leaves as well?
Jason Anderson asked Chad in the press conference, said, hey, just noticed that these two players that have normally been your attacking quadrant were not on the field. Is there a reason why? And he said, competition. It's all about competition. And that was it. He said nothing more. So that's something. That is notable. Clearly, that's a Wayne Rooney choice. That's not a Chad Ashton choice at this point. So Wayne is in training. Wayne is watching. Wayne is in training is a hard thing to say, and I don't think I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to avoid saying that again. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very likely that they are gone. I think it's very possible that this is, like you said, the loan is easy to get out of. Also, they were never going to pay $5 million. That was never going to happen. I don't care how much people on Discord think he's good. That was not going to happen. And for a $1 million player from Bulgaria, they've eaten larger costs like our designated player, where they ate a transfer fee of 4.5 times more that. So if they want him gone, I'm sure there's a team in Bulgaria or a league lower that would be interested in him, and for pennies on the dollar. But yeah, I think I said when Wayne got here that his first ask when he met with the front office was, I'm going to need 24 international spots. He might.
Yeah, and it's I mean 24 I think would be the max that there's available in the entire league. Maybe not, but I mean it'd be very difficult to get.
They want them all. No one else can have. Everyone else is domestic now.
Yeah, apparently so. They did. So I think the bigger stories of the day. Rodriguez on the bench finally getting his visa sorted out. Visa's taken Visa's taken an incredibly long time. I'm really wondering when we're actually going to see Ravel Morrison or the new guy that was also apparently in the stands today, which is very funny. That was the weirdest story news in that the club basically leaked it out, and the club sort of had the official story that Victor Paulson was coming, and he was there in the bench. We'll talk a little about what we think about him, but sort of shifting back to the lineup in the game. Obviously, the big stories of the day: Donovan Pines getting the start, and then you had your young players, Jackson Hopkins, who was just on an interview here on United 96. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I believe it's now in the main feed. And Ted Kuda-Pietro getting appearances.
And Miguel Berry making his first start.
And Miguel Berry making his first start. Yeah, he was who I was trying to start with. So changes all around, and absolute disaster, to say the least, to open the game.
The worst start you could have.
A ball's played back, and Donovan Pines, we we got John, we got a little bit of egg on our face when we talked about how Donovan Pines has really cut out the errors in his game, and then he goes and makes probably, I'm going to go ahead and say, the worst error of his career. I think this pretty much takes the cake.
There was one where he tried to clear a ball and he swung and missed, and then the player recovered the ball and scored. So only because it looked funnier. But it didn't happen in the first minute of the game.
Well, this was
a game that they really wanted to win. So this is different.
Well, I don't remember that moment specifically, but I mean, if it was a mad scramble in the box, that's at least somewhat like there's chaos in the box and you kind of miss the clearance. I forget the whole. I forget the whole situation, but I mean, this was pretty bad. I'll say one of the worst, maybe tied with that moment. John, what do we like? Let's start with this. Is this the end of the line for Donovan Pines? Is this, I mean, we talk about how much he's improved and he's shown signs, and I will give him credit. I thought in the second half he recovered. He made some pretty nice defensive plays, some blocks. He looked like he had I think he made one run going forward, which was, he does that I think once a game. Mm-hmm. But it really does feel like, I mean, if you can't clean up your game at this point, what are we doing here? I don't know. A lot of fans seem like this team to think this is it. I'm not sure what your thoughts are. Is this where do you see Donovan Pines landing?
Well, his contract ends this year. There's obviously going to be team options, but he could be let go for nothing at the end of this. It's a struggle because he has, and everyone, the reason why he gets so many chances is you look at him and you watch that second half and you see the good Donovan and you're like, man, this guy is like serious business. He is a player that he was on the fringes of being called in the national team because of his physical gifts. Mm-hmm. And then he does this. And the problem too is that once you become, ask Bill Hamid about this, once you become identified with a particular flaw in your game, even if you don't do it for 15 games, when you do it in your 16th game, everyone's going to say, here he goes again. See, he didn't get it. He didn't figure it out. And he has had a relatively good season aside from this mistake. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities to make mistakes.
His playing time has been cut short.
So it's tough when you get in there and the thing you are known for and are trying to distance yourself from, you do immediately. That's a challenge. I don't think he'll be gone. I think this, based on this lineup and the fact that all the players that are going to get brought in are going to get here too late, I feel like they know that this season is over for the most part. For all intents and purposes, this is about 2023. So I think they're going to give him a lot of chances. I think they're going to give him so many chances through the rest of this year to see if Wayne has some magical mental exercises he can be doing to eliminate these some complete brain farts. I don't know.
Sports psychologist, something.
Yeah, something. Because it's got to be wearing on him at this point. You see, like, he did a good job of not hanging his head too far after that, where it would have been very easy to be like, I cannot believe I did this again. He didn't do that. He picked himself up and he got out there and he played. And like you said, he improved. He did not allow it to spiral, which to me is the bigger mental problem when a player has a mistake that he repeats and then cannot dig himself out of the hole when it gets worse. So he did better there. I don't know. I think he probably sticks around at least this season. They give him as many opportunities as possible to see if they can knock that out of his game.
Yeah, and I mean, and overall, it was just kind of a rough performance in the first half. There wasn't a whole lot of offensive ability. This team is still struggling in the center of midfield. We'll get into the potential replacement that's going to come there. I thought Jafal, who I think can be a pretty decent player. I thought he had one of his worst games, if I'm being honest. He made a lot of really bad passes, particularly one that almost resulted in a chip for a goal. He made a couple pretty nice defensive plays, but just he made. I think I'm willing to give a mulligan on one bad pass, but I know for a fact he made two, just no one even close. And I don't know if I don't know what he's thinking in that moment, but just two incredibly bad passes in the middle of the field, completely stuns it, completely just disintegrates an attack. I think with the internationals coming in, I think he's in an incredibly tight spot. I think he sticks around. I think he is a prime candidate right now to go back to Loudoun, and maybe he needs some minutes, maybe in kind of a lower division, to get some confidence for him.
much more than Nigel. Like this, that makes sense. He's a player that actually could do really well with. Also, letting him find out what his real skill set is, where he really can flourish with this team, because it feels like he's being jammed into a spot that may not be his skill set at the moment. I don't know, but like you said, I'm remembering just one square ball like directly to a Montreal attacker, like maybe 10 feet from. He just looked directly at him and passed directly at him.
Yeah.
And it was very, very wild.
It happened twice. There was definitely another. I think it was pretty close. I just remember like an attack. The team gets the ball. There's kind of some nice passing, some nice build up, and then it's just like the entire attack just kind of ends at that moment. Second goal, I'm not.
He was not the only. I was just say defend. We could just talk about this whole back line, because that's really what this game,
was lost.
Isusamake getting cooked out there. I think that's just the way it goes. I think he was. I think on the second goal he was the one that was gotten past for a cross. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean that's been the thing on him. I think in his small opportunities he's had to play with DC United, it's been sort of beaten for pace and out muscled. Drew Skundrich at right back.
Disaster.
Is weird. Disaster. People much more intelligent about tactics say that that was like a faux right back, like a false right back, like a position that I guess is real, and then he would slip inside and allow Durkin, I guess. There was another player that would occupy the space. I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think that was a weird tactical choice, and that player is not suited to do whatever he was being asked to do.
Yeah, I think Skundrich, again, it's the same situation, I think. It's very clearly that the coaching staff loves him, I guess, for his efforts and everything like that. But putting it on the field, if he is still on the field in 2023, getting regular starting minutes like he's getting right now, then something disastrous has happened, and alarm bells should be going off. There's always a player in a bad season you identify with, well, I sure hope he's not on the field next season, or at least starting regular. I think he serves somewhat of a purpose. I don't have quite he's terrible. I think he's being asked to do more than what he's capable of, and I think as a fill-in guy, as a guy to come off the bench, maybe to try to hold the ball a little bit, to kind of disrupt things in the middle, I think he can be pretty effective at that. But as a locked-in starter week in and week out, nope, absolutely not. I hope there are better options coming about. You're right. The back line is where this game was lost. Really, the first, 15, 20 minutes, 2 goals down. The team did recover, and I think if they found a way to get a goal in the first half, we might be looking at a different game. Taxi, a little bit of a quiet game, but did have a massive opportunity sort of on the corner. Very, very effective at sort of lurking on that back corner, and when the ball finds him, they were looking for him on set plays. If it wasn't on the back corner, it was somewhere else. I will say, I don't think Jackson Hopkins had the best first half, but seeing his service, which was an aspect of his game that I know it probably is there, and I'm sure some other people have seen it, but to do it at the level he was doing it at, I think actually was pretty impressive, and I think that is something I'm hopeful will grow in his game, and if he can master that kind of service. And he can sort of get to that Gressel level type of attack, then it makes the Gressel trade, regardless of how it went down and how Gressel was treated, makes a lot of sense. I thought he had probably, of the two sort of young guys that were kind of watching, Ted Kudu-Pietro and Jackson Hopkins, I thought Jackson Hopkins had the stronger game. Obviously gets the assist, but aside from that, I thought he had the stronger game. What did you make of both the sort of young future players that we've sort of hung our hats on as maybe being potential big names?
It's what you said. Second half, Jackson Hopkins looked a lot better. Ted Kudu-Pietro looked a little bit off of it. He looked much more confident against Bayern, which is weird. I think it may be a real game. Things are a little bit different. I hope that is not going to be a sign that they're not going to go back to him and give him another chance, because you and I both believe in his talent. And I think that in a different situation, the game, they weren't on the front foot until some period in the second half. They really turned it around a little bit there, and they were being more dangerous. So it's tough to draw too many conclusions. Austin Berry, not Miguel Berry, not Austin Berry. I got confused when they tried him. I was like, he's still in the league? Weird. Miguel Berry looked pretty good. He had a couple chances that if things had gone a little bit differently, he was scoring. He's putting himself in dangerous spots and making himself available. For a forward, though, you've got to convert. So we'll give him some time. He's not had a very productive 2022, which is why we have him and why he was pretty affordable. So let's hope that I think he might be a player that needs to score to get some confidence to get the ball rolling, and that's what we need. I think Ola Kamara is now going to be, until he's gone, is going to be our super sub, which is the position as you read about where people think if Ola does move, what happens. That's sort of what his role will be wherever he goes. So it's good that we get him in this spot because that is potentially where he could still bring some danger. And I don't think he really did in this game, but I think in another game he might.
Yeah, real question for him as a whole is whether he wants to be in that role next season. I think if they could get the numbers, if they could figure out the math and everything else, I'd love to have him. I'd love to have him as a super sub. I think that would be an incredible position. Again, they got to get the money figured out, and I think you're looking at a player entering free agency. Guarantee you he's going to be talking around to some teams. You look at a team like St. Louis that might just want a locked-in starting striker, depending on where they want to move, or a guy they can bring in. They're going to have some extra allocation money. They can afford to have the luxury. The question is going to be whether DC is going to have that luxury to do so. But I thought Miguel Berry was okay. I think the developing the chemistry with Taxi is going to be very important for success here. There isn't a Zella Rayon type player. We have Ravel Morrison. We'll see what he can bring. But it's going to be important for him right now to develop that chemistry with Taxi. It started to get a little better, I thought, in the second half. First half, I didn't think he was very great. He was kind of absent, and then again, the whole offense was, because they were just not getting the chances that they deserved. But overall, I think I saw some. I think he had one nice play in the second half where I thought maybe he takes that shot a little quicker. Maybe it finds the back of the net. Yeah.
I think also the game really kind of turned when Martin Rodriguez and Andy Nahar both came on the 63rd minute. They brought a dimension to the team, which is what everyone wants from a DC United. It was a lot more. It was a little bit more excitement, a little bit more flair, a little bit more trying to be creative in the final third to create opportunities. So we got a very short look. I felt like a very short look at 27 minutes for Martin Rodriguez. I'm excited to see him play from the start. I was just saying that I hope Cudi Pietro gets more starts. And then I remember that Ravel Morrison is here, and Martin Rodriguez is here. I was like, so maybe not immediately. I think they're going to want to get him in there and see what kind of relationship he can form with Taxi and Andy. I think having Andy behind him at the left back and having him in front of him, I think will be pretty exciting. We still need a right back. We still need. Fullbacks, please, mucho. We've not been linked to any of them.
I really don't.
Although Chris Odoyatsam had like a bit of moment of magic there. I think he was on the field for how long? 45 minutes, or was 40? He was
subbed on. He was subbed on in halftime for Drew Skendrich. Yeah.
So he had a very good half. He had a run that we thought we were about to see like goal of the year as far as like DC United move, like just carry the ball all the way from midfield. I think about midfield, and then looked like he had an opportunity to open up and shoot, and took it a little bit further and gave himself no angle and got a corner out of it. But people are very excited to see what he can do. And you know what? I'm not always been his biggest fan, but he is our natural right back on this roster. He's the guy that can do it and is not playing out of position when he does it. So I think you're going to see, just like I think you're going to see a lot of Donovan because they need to figure out what they have with him. I think you're going to see a lot of Chris because I've not heard anything about fullbacks and this team and all of the rumors that we've heard. So he may be it.
And the interesting thing about this is his role has now shifted with this team with sort of this change in formation. I don't think he fit well as a sort of wing back type of guy who's going to push forward. He doesn't have that ability, but as a fullback who pushes forward occasionally, but mainly stays sort of on the defensive half, he could be rather effective. You look at Joseph Moore is a perfect example of this. When they played sort of the 4-2-3-1, Joseph Mora was a lot more effective than when they switched over to what Losada played, which was a 3-4-3 type of where the position he played was sort of shifted up the field, and it requires more offensive as well as some defensive responsibility, and you have the extra center backs to kind of cover things defensively. So this sort of changed to 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 is what we're hearing is sort of the overall goal of this lineup. Could actually make him a more effective player, and maybe it plays him in a role where his skill set is better suited. So I want to see more of Chris Odiatsum in the coming up this season, and just kind of see what we have with him. He's not very expensive, so I think he would stand a good chance if he shows well that this team would say, look, we need. We know you want your international players, Wayne, but we also need to figure out a way to bring some domestic players as well. So this team can't go full international, but they definitely can bring in some domestic players. So any other news and notes you want to drop from the game? Obviously you talked about Rodriguez. One thing I was about Rodriguez is I saw at least one wayward cross, I believe, in this game. So that was sort of the knock on him. So that's definitely something that hasn't improved, let's say the least. So the scouting report was correct on that.
Yeah, I'm still, the things that I'm still looking at are what's the goalkeeper situation look like. We brought up last week Tyler Miller is in the news. That's a MLS name versus a international name coming from Wayne Rooney. So this is not coming from Wayne Rooney. This is coming from the spreadsheets and our interleague feelers. I get the feeling that the team also is not super impressed with what he's offering, what Romo is offering. So Bill Hamid still is not coming. He's now posting his Instagram. He was on some I don't know where he looks like he's on an island somewhere. I don't know. He's not around. He's not local. But yeah, let's talk sort of big picture about this game, because that's what I came away. I wasn't there, so I didn't get the weather exposure that makes me feel a little less optimistic sometimes when I sit through a loss and I'm hot and sweaty. But watching from home, my conclusion was, watching after that second half, after seeing the lineup that was trotted out, the players that were on the bench who came in and made a difference, I said, here's where my mind is at. 2022 is over. It's not over in calendar sense, but it's over. It's done now. We may mathematically be able to eke out a playoff spot, but this team's not ready, and that's okay. That's fine. Have we been rebuilding? Have we been in a state of we're almost there for years and years now? Yeah. But now for real, if you look at this lineup, this is a rebuilding. Is it strange that it's a rebuilding happening as Wayne Rooney gets here and he's got a 1.5-year contract with an option year, but we all know that means a 1.5-year contract? It's a little weird, particularly as the players that he's bringing in are usually signing contracts that match his because they don't want to stay longer than him. Potentially. There's going to be options, and it's different for players than it is for Wayne Rooney, but still, nonetheless. But as a fan, it's all about 23 now. Mm-hmm. It's all about what can we unearth about these players here? How can we get Taxi the support he needs to continue being great, because he still is, even on games where he's been isolated? And what of these young players are going to put themselves in the conversation? I think he would want to have, and all we know about Wayne Rooney is that the Derby County experience was young players mixed with veterans. That was somewhat brought on by the fact that they didn't have any money. So I think if he had money, he maybe would have picked a different strategy. But he doesn't have money really that much here. Although we're hearing lots of conversations about money being thrown about now. But overall, I wasn't upset. I was happy. I was saying I can get behind seeing another half a season of this, because they didn't roll over. They could have rolled over after that first goal. It's certainly you had that feeling, and I know you felt it in there, like, oh, here we go again, unbelievable. But that second half was a different story, and they fought, and there was some young players in the middle of it. So I felt like, yeah, sign me up for this. I'll renew my ticket. Like, let's do this in 23. What was your feeling actually being there? Did you have sort of a similar takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I've maybe resorted myself to this maybe a little bit quicker. I pretty much once Wayne went in here, once the team traded pretty much after the Julian Gressel trade, I was like, all right, this is pretty clear now. This is no longer about making the playoffs. This is about rebuilding. I'm perfectly fine with this. I think some people have snarkily pointed out and said, well, 2021 was supposed to build into 2022. And I said, okay, yeah, it didn't. Like, what do you want me to say? It didn't. So, you kind of move on a bit. And, it just, for me, just doesn't, I'm looking at what this team is. I'm looking at what this team can be in the future. I will admit, I'm a little apprehensive. I was expecting Wayne to want to bring in his guys, but it really does sort of feel like, and we'll talk about this probably coming up, about how much he's in control. If he is still showing that same, my biggest fear is that, he talks like he loves Jackson Hopkins. Jackson Hopkins has a so-so game, maybe makes an appearance. Teku DiPietro, has a so-so game, and then that kind of draw. He's like, nope, I need to go out and, this isn't working. I need to go out and get guys that are going to be big. So I hope that doesn't. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that he continues to sort of invest in sort of the younger players. Let's talk about this. Let's move on to the sort of rumored players, the players that are coming in. First question, actually, let's get into this from Mark Ricklin. He says, "Is there a method to the madness of our transfer move? Does any lack of defensive reinforcement, speculation, or otherwise signal Wayne has given up on results for this season?" I would say that is definitely probably true. I think the playoff line is, well, we're not mathematically eliminated yet, so sure, we want to go out and make the playoffs and try to win every game. But I mean, I think even Wayne would say, probably, and they've talked about too. They said it's probably a long shot, but we're still alive, so we still want to try to somewhat fight for it. But this is very clearly the bigger picture is 2023, and I think we've talked about that. It's that's where this team is shooting for. Is there a method to the madness? I think there is a method. I think I agree with what the team is doing. I understand everybody's like, we don't have fullbacks, we don't have this, we don't have that. I'm like, honestly, like we're bad all over the field. We're still bad all over the field. Get the offense right. Get the offense cooking by the end of the season. If we're playing 3-3, if we're playing 3-2 games, if we're still giving up bad goals, but we're creating chances and scoring goals, then honestly at that point I don't care. Then you can use the offseason to address the defensive issues. As I've stated, there's a lot of free agency, especially on the defensive side of the ball coming up. So I think there's opportunity there. Any differences of opinion there? I know you talked about fullbacks. You want fullbacks, but
it'd be nice. Just it would be cool. I think that they probably have come to the conclusion that Wayne is probably also a former MLS veteran for a short time. It's probably like, I can maybe work with this defense. I can maybe get them there. I can't make someone have the creativity of a Rabel Morrison. Mm-hmm. I can't. I know I have to import things that I can't get here that are in short supply. And maybe either these guys or some other guys on the free agent list or some of the draftees, I think he probably maybe the however much the spreadsheets are still cooking in the front office, like they probably think, this is not necessarily personnel. It's maybe just having a coordinated dip of form. Or we know that we have to make a turnover here, either with Steve Birnbaum, or maybe Brendan Heinzeich wasn't the same player he was before the injury, or whatever. Like maybe they see that as something they're going to address in the winter. And right now they want to get these offensive players in, give them a longer time with the team to sort of figure out MLS so that they're ready to cook 2023. Whereas maybe defensive players don't have as big of a learning curve as a offensive creative player. That's a guess. I don't know. I'm not super concerned about it. I'm like, we just talked about 2023, and then see what you get out of these young players, and also give, let Rabel Morrison adjust to MLS, because everyone needs a little bit of time. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah,
when there's no pressure on. So we'll talk. We've got some rumors to talk about. A couple players that are rumored to come in. We have the one that was already mentioned by Ted, that was in the press box, or was in the owner's box with Wayne Rooney. Victor Paulsen, a player who was just, I believe we actually paid a transfer fee from Schalke, who plays a defensive midfielding position, which is something that I think this team needs. This is a position of weakness right now for the club. So Jafal had the game that he had. Chris Durkin is trying to find his level once again. I think he's had some good games and some poor games. But Victor Paulsen is a player with a lot of experience. Very brief time at Red Bull, 12 games in 2020 and 2012, but has been a little bit everywhere. Started his career at Liverpool, played no games for them. Hibernian, NAC Breda, Heisenberg's, Zurich, Darmstadt, Schalke. So he went to all of the leagues that you can go to, pretty much. He went to all of them. And he's an Iceland international. I'm not sure the last time he played for the national team. It's probably been a little bit of time. 2021, he played 6 games. So not that long ago. But he's a player that is coming on a pretty good pay packet, supposedly. Multi-year, 3-year potentially. I think numbers are rumored and not confirmed yet. But he'll be on a decent salary. So this is a player that was clearly identified prior to Wayne Rooney. This is a Lucy Rushton and other folks call. So who knows as far as how this player is going to fit. Obviously, the team has been following him a while to make this sort of investment on the long scale. So we just have to see what he looks like when he gets on the field. Schalke did get relegated this last year, but anyway. One other player that DC United is looking at is Elijah Adebayo. So this one is interesting because Wayne played him last season when he was with Luton Town. He scored 21 goals in 58 appearances. So that's bananas. Also bananas is apparently DC United is offering over in surplus of $5 million for this transfer to go through. So that's well out of our normal pay range. But this is definitely also a Wayne Rooney identification. Some people have said that DC United was scouting the championship for strikers. Probably not the guy that Wayne Rooney loves the most, though. Probably that's just a coincidence. By the way, his name is Elijah Anuluwapu Oluwafanami Oluwatomi Oluwalana Ayomikalayan Adebayo. So, if anybody wants to get that entire name on a jersey, that would be cool. I think you should do that. But yeah, that is an insane scoring rate. I don't know how we transfer what the conversion rate is from championship goals to MLS goals, but we'll see. Also weird on his Wikipedia page, he says primarily a forward. He's also played center defender. So that is a very League One. That is a very League One / championship thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think at first this move I think kind of took a lot of people by surprise because we have so many central midfielders. But I think if you look at the fact of how neither Durkin nor Knaus has obviously been probably their most effective player, but he is injured a lot. This time wasn't his fault. He was obviously having a kid. Mazel tov, congratulations to him on the birth of a son, I believe. So that's really awesome for him. So I think getting this guy in, I had no idea who this dude was, and then his name sort of rang a bell when they said he was with Red Bulls in 2012. So he was there on the other side for the infamous "You Can't Hold Us Back" game. Probably the last time the Red Bulls DC. He will probably be very surprised about how much the Red Bulls and DC rivalry doesn't matter anymore. So he has had experience there. I think he'll bring some experience there. I can't say honestly. It's at this point. It's it's just about getting bodies in, getting guys that Rooney could think. I do wonder if this is a Rooney signing or if this is a spreadsheet signing. I think that's what we're going to be doing the guessing game on this one.
I think
Wayne. We're here at Wayne. You think a spreadsheet?
I don't imagine Wayne's watching a lot of two Bundesliga when he was spending time over in Derby. Maybe he was.
Yeah.
Maybe he loves it. Maybe he had the special Sky package that had the two Bundesliga. But I think this is a spreadsheet.
Yeah, this is probably a spreadsheet sign. So solid player. Hopefully he can come in, be solid. Hopefully it doesn't break down too soon. But good to see this team. Good to see this team, going out and making so. This is I'm going to call this a defensive signing in some capacity. So this is definitely more on the defensive side of the ball. I think he plays more as sort of a holding sort of midfielder. So maybe you're going to see him and Morrison kind of be those, be kind of that, with him sort of being the anchor, taking the Knaus role. I do wonder what it's going to do for Knaus. I think Knaus is here through next year, is what I saw. So curious what it does to Knaus's role. And also we talked about Jafal's role in this team. Now that he's looking like he's going to be gone, probably, or at least takes up that international slot that Paulson would be used. The striker you mentioned, I think he had his first kind of breakout season. Luton Town is the team that he's currently playing at. 16 goals last year in the championship. Apparently, this is a signing that Rooney tried to lure over to Derby. Was trying to get over to Derby, and Luton said no. He seems more of the target type of player. So definitely, you're looking at probably going into next season, assuming Kamara, Estrada, and Roberto are not there. You're probably going to have, if he comes here, you're going to have him and Miguel Berry sort of backing up. Seems pretty clear that Miguel Berry, I thought maybe Miguel Berry, they might say, well, we think Miguel Berry can be that starting player. But I think it's pretty clear they want to go out and get sort of a DP number 9. And this guy would do it. This guy would be a DP. I think $5 million is the rumored price tag. Very funny to watch Luton Town fans call, well, he's going to a retirement league. And I said, man, you are so out of date and so wrong with that. It's so funny. Always funny to have the English talk about that. So
yeah, I mean,
we'll see if this happens.
Championship fans can pipe down about that. Like, just be quiet. Like, calm down, champions. We're pretty peers. Let's just calm down. But yeah, I mean, this is this signing would be interesting. I don't want to say is the first time for sure that a Luton Town player has been bought for a transfer fee into an MLS side, but I would think it probably is. It's got to be. I'm excited about this. This is like kind of a off the wall. Normally we don't play in the young English league space because they're a little bit overpriced usually. But with that scoring record, by the way, championship teams are bananas for playing 40 games. He appeared in 42 games last season. Like, that is nuts. The most you could play here is not that. We'd have to make a pretty deep cup run and be in the Leagues Cup probably to make that many appearances. So I hope we get this done. This would be kind of a funny signing. I'd be excited, and it will also, like you said, spells the end of old Kamara under any pretext. There'd be no way, and Nigel Robertha, and and Michael Estrada. It's going to be a lot of change. Don't buy anybody's jerseys, guys. I said this about Juan Soto and the Nationals. Don't buy any DC United blanks from here on for at least a year.
Yeah. For this year, maybe more. We'll see how this dramatic rebuild goes. I think that's going to do it. I don't have anything. I'm trying to get any other news and notes we have. I don't think there's any other news and notes. We're going to wrap up the show, guys. I will not be here next week. I will be on assignment, so to speak.
Yep. The only bit of news is that Wayne Rooney is currently in England finalizing his visa, and there is a hope that he will be available on the sidelines against Orlando, I believe, is this team we're playing next. Somebody said, like, I forget, I was on Discord, somebody said Wayne Rooney is on his way to the airport. He's just going to buy some cigarettes. He'll be right back. And see how many suitcases he's bringing to Dulles. I was like, yeah, that's possible. It's a good joke.
The training center is low on milk. The training center is low on milk, too. You got to go get milk. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I will not be here next week. I'll be on assignment. I'll be returning with better internet and everything. So hopefully we don't run into the situation that we're in. Yeah, we appreciate you all sticking through this. Guys, check us out, rfkrefugees.com/merch to buy some merch. I need to get some of the merch in my actual hands. I need to do that so I can advertise it on the show. Mm-hmm. I've not dove into that yet. Guys, no Kindred Spirits this week as well. They are on break, so we're going to take a break. Though I was going to say check out the ESPN 60 on the NWSL, but that apparently has been delayed for more reporting. So, oh boy, we'll see what happens with that. Yep. But that looks like that is going to be very interesting. Definitely works from a soccer perspective. Definitely going in. One other news and note: MLS apparently struggling to get a deal done with Univision, which is probably spelling some trouble with the team's linear deal. I don't know if you saw that news, but not a good look there. Sorry, I just wanted to drop that last little bit of news in there. All right, guys, we promise we'll be better in the next couple weeks. I won't be here, so the show's automatically going to get better. But definitely check us out, rfkrefugees.com. Rate us on iTunes. Don't judge us based on this show. We'll catch you guys in a couple weeks. I'll catch you in a couple weeks. I'll see you guys next week. Vamos.
Vamos.